Assalamu alaikum everyone, what's going on? I'm here with my client Sully. We've just completed a photo shoot with Sully. Now, Sully has been working with me for, how long has it been?
Just
12 to
over
14 months. Just over a year. Down 21 kgs. Absolutely smashed it. From skinny fat to solid and getting in his first ever photo shoot where he looks absolutely amazing. Allah Mubarak. Just going to ask him a couple of questions based on the experience in the coaching, where he was before the coaching, his experience throughout the coaching, and again, what his plan is going to be after the coaching as well. So I'm just going to straight fire some questions at Sully, inshallah. So Sully, before we start, introduce yourself. What is it you do?
My name's Sully or Salman, as everyone knows. I work in software integrations. I work from home, so a very sedative job. Not really a lot of movement involved, but it's a lot of more mental and more steadfast job. But alhamdulillah, because a lot of people are out of jobs and don't have the means to be able to make an income. So alhamdulillah, regardless.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And just before I get started, he's still single. He's still single and he's still looking for a partner, a good, humble partner who's on deen. If you guys know anyone who's looking for a partner, Sully's ready, inshallah. Anyways, bismillah. So, first question, what was the biggest struggle that you were facing before joining the program? Mentally, physically? Obviously, you've tried things on your own. Share us a little bit about that.
So the biggest struggle for me for joining like any sort of program, whether it was yourself or anyone else, was structure, motivation, discipline, and just having someone be there, whether it was in person or someone just keeping me honest with whatever I was intending to do. And I feel like with the plan I've got from you, with the structure I've got from you, it just keeps me honest and on the path of doing the work, but also getting to the end goal that we set right at the beginning.
100%.
And it was a bit difficult on my own because, as you know, there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of articles, a lot of content online that you can look to, but those are more so focused towards people that have been training for a while, but what you don't see is behind the scenes with them.
100%.
So whether they've been training for years, the meal plans, how often they're training, what their steps are like, you don't see any of that. You just see the numbers on paper or on the screen and just the plans that you can follow.
Absolutely.
And with your plan, like I said, the accountability is the main.
We'll get into that. Just want to know the struggles before you joined and some key points you mentioned there as well in terms of, where in terms of a lot of people have seen results, but everyone's lifestyle is different. Obviously, we're Asians. We've got Eid, we've got Ramadan, we've got Dawud, we've got social occasions, we've got obviously the food our parents make at home as well. So there's a lot of tradition and cultural foods involved as well. But alhamdulillah, we've managed to work around that. But yeah, I'm guessing those were also part of your obstacles and struggles as well.
I was still very cautious about what I was eating, but I didn't have the physical element involved with it. So I was trying to like mentally focus on eating clean, but eating clean isn't just the be all end all. You have 100%. To then add the physical work with it to be able to see the results.
Absolutely.
That was the bit I was missing.
No, 100%. So next question is, what was the motivation for you to start? Obviously, I know your cousin joined before you joined, so I know you was inspired by him in terms of what he achieved and the results that he was seeing in the program. But what was that turning point for you where you thought, right, I need to reach out to someone, ask for help and take it a step further? Because let's be honest, a lot of Asians in particular, they walk around with big heads. They don't want to ask for help. They think they know it all, or they'll just use that similar approach of, I'll figure it out myself. So what made you realize that I need help and I want to take it a step further?
So me personally, Habib is my cousin who was on the program, and he was a motivation for me to get on. But I think a second part of that ordeal was to do with never being in the position that I'm right now. Like physically, mentally, spiritually, I was never to the level I am right now. Obviously, spiritually and religiously, I can still do better. We can all do better.
Alhamdulillah, 100%.
But it was just because I'm taller to an outsider looking in, even though I'm carrying a load of weight, you may not see it because it stretches out, right, over the physique. But what they don't see is what I see personally every day. Because obviously when I'm taking a shower, whenever I see myself in the mirror, is not the physical shape I'm supposed to be in. So the main factor was I've got to a stage in my life, I was 29, almost 30. And I was like, if the time isn't now, when is the time? Because physically, mentally, you're at your prime right now. And if you're going to put in the work and you're going to stick to a plan, you're going to see the best results now rather than coming into it into your 40s, 50s, but then you're going to have a busy lifestyle, family to take care of, and then you just have more excuses than motivation to get on.
Absolutely, 100%. Obviously, we've worked together for over a year. We've obviously taken you through different phases in the program as well. And obviously, when you started, you were skinny fat. So you had low percentage of muscle, high percentage of body fat. So we had a lot of work to do. We got stuck right in. Alhamdulillah, over a year later, you've got your photo shoot done, which was obviously unexpected, but it was brought into context during your transformation where we saw you being a lot more consistent. The drive was there. You were putting in the work. Mashallah. We've seen a lot of changes physically, mentally, spiritually, like you mentioned as well. So what sort of changes have you encountered, especially especially sitting here right now, being in one of the best shapes of your entire life. How does it feel, bro?
Physical change is obviously the main element, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Being physically in a better shape, you get the mental benefits too.
100%.
Because you're a lot more clearer, you're not like foggy in terms of your decisions. And because you've been able to stick to a plan, stay committed to something long term, this is just something that you can use as a motivation for other decisions that you make.
Yeah. Right? Definitely. 100%.
And if you can stick to a plan for a year, and the plan has, like you said, within the different phases, right? Whether I started skinny fat, so it was at the beginning, you're like mentally without a PT, you'd be thinking, I need to go into a fat loss straight away, right?
Yeah.
But if you're starting from nothing, you can drop fat, of course you can, but then you're going to have nothing in return.
Yeah, nothing in return,
You may get a bit of motivation because you drop fat, but
100%.
it's just having that physique underneath and being able to use the valuable knowledge that you bring us to get to a stage where I'm right now has been the most beneficial thing that's
100%.
like literally I've gained. And just obviously you get the compliments from your family, your friends.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You look way better than you did before, and what can you do? And I've had people like friends with me who train with me to try and like obviously get them motivated. But it's more of a mental game than it is a physical one.
100%.
And it's discipline over motivation. The motivation is conditional. So that's
Absolutely,
where you got locked in. And
yeah. Definitely.
it's just
100%.
you're gonna have someone to push you because in certain times of year, snowing, when it's raining, pouring it down, if you're not there, like your PT,
absolutely.
And I don't know the rest of the PT whether they have the same accountability, they hold people accountable like you do.
Yeah.
But if they don't have that someone nagging at them, of course, like that nagging is for your benefit. It's not
100%.
if you're gaining anything out of it. It's you at the end of the day.
100%.
And you holding someone accountable is sometimes the main benefit when it gets tough, and it will get tough.
100%.
It's never going to be an easy thing, is it?
Well, if it was easy, everyone would have done it. Everyone would be walking around with the six pack. So no, man, some very, very good points you mentioned there. And like you said, accountability is very important. Everyone needs it. I'm a coach myself. I still have a coach. Everyone needs accountability.
You're never going to be a fully qualified teacher to a point where you can learn new techniques. It's the same in every profession,
absolutely.
Right?
Live life like a student.
You're always, that's it. Like,
so definitely, man. Some good points there, Sully, bro. Next one is, what has surprised you the most about working with me and being inside the coaching?
So I think the main thing being the changes to diets throughout the phases. Whereas sometimes I think I need to reduce my calories, but it's actually you've increased
the opposite.
But then I see results after that. So it's like what I've looked up online and what I've seen is like mentally I think, okay, now I'm not losing any weight. Do I need to reduce calories? But then when it comes to you weekly check-ins, you ask how we're doing, like what the progress been like, what your steps have been like, what your sleep's been like. All those things taken into account, I was surprised most of the times when you up my calories. And then next week I've dropped weight. So it's knowledge which you can get, like you said, you can read upon it. But again, like those type of details are depending on you as a person individually. It's not one size fits all. You will take into account everything in your life that's going on, because stress can be one of the major factors as to why you're gaining weight.
That's one thing you've learned as well, stress and sleep. Two things that I kept banging on about with yourself as well.
And I can still do better on them actually.
Oh no, absolutely. Like you said, there's always room for improvement. Long story short, last 10 weeks, basically Sully had you had no off-plan meals. It was just strictly following the diet plan. And we needed to lose another 5-6 kgs. And instead of decreasing food like most people would do, obviously that's where the worry kicked in with yourself, where I bumped up your food and you were like, why is he bumping up my food? I need to lose weight. But then you kept dropping weight. And this is what happens when I say to each and every person, the whole point of investing into a coach is so you follow one person's guidance. It saves you from the guesswork, and it saves you from looking at one person online and he's saying this and another person is saying that and another person is saying that. When you follow the process and you trust the coach, that's when you ultimately see the results. And that's exactly what's happening to you.
And I think one of the things to be mindful about is when you're deep in a cut, mentally, any little thing that doesn't go your way, you exaggerate it. And you need someone who's not in that phase with you to be able to then make a calculated decision for you to say, okay, do you know what? You've had a stressful week. 100%. We know what's going on. Let's just adjust it slightly so we're still on track.
Absolutely.
And that's where I feel like most coaches don't have that like you do, weekly check-ins. And look, I'm not going to speak for everyone because I don't know every coach.
100%.
But for you personally, where I've had that interaction with you weekly, even though like some of the weeks has been very basic in terms of feedback and like me giving you feedback, but you've still been able to keep me motivated to a point where I didn't lose like focus. And especially in this cut, it was difficult for me sometimes with like just where I was like becoming stagnant dropping in my weight, right? And then next week I'm on higher calories and then I'm dropping weight.
It's
just the best way to do it. Having someone who's knowledgeable to a point where they can give you direction and you're always on track.
Absolutely. Now, wicked, man. Appreciate that, Sully. Last question, bro, and this is going to be a very good question for you to answer. A lot of brothers will relate to this. If another brother, obviously, you have a lot of brothers out there that talk the talk, but they can't walk the walk. Now, if another brother is sitting on the fence right now, unsure about investing into himself, what would you say to him, and would you recommend this coaching to somebody else?
So I'd recommend coaching like literally 100%. Now, like I said, everyone has access to the internet.
Yeah.
There's plenty of knowledge out there for you to be able to read upon.
Yeah, people still walk around being fat.
That's the thing. It's like you have the knowledge in the palm of your hands to be able to do it. But it's like I said before, it's like that knowledge is not one size fits all. Yeah. You have to take into account your lifestyle, your eating habits, your training habits, if you have any, first of all.
100%.
And your work, and whether you can accommodate being able to train 5 days a week, or whether you need an adjusted plan. Like one of the people on that, like obviously plan, he works nights, but then he switches lifestyle based on his actual work schedule. And what I would say is no one else is going to invest in you. You have to make that decision mentally.
100%.
To choose yourself over everyone else's guesswork, to invest in yourself long term, because you may be young now and think, you know what, I can give it a few years, I'll get into shape and then I'll make it work. But there's people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s that regret not starting
earlier. 100%.
Because like I said, the earlier, the sooner you start, the better physique, the better gain, the better mental clarity that you have.
100%.
And then when you get from an obese or skinny fat phase to a muscular or somewhat structured phase, you're going to want more, right?
100%.
And you're starting from a better foundation than you are from where you started.
100%. Once you start seeing the results, it then becomes an addiction, and you just want to pursue. Absolutely.
And you can't, when you work so hard to get to a particular phase in your life, you don't binge eat. You're always very focused on what you're consuming.
I think one of the biggest takeaways for you is that your standards have changed. What's going through this transformation, so has your expectations, so has your self-worth, your self-respect, and your value as a man as well, your IQ, basically. So, and I think that's, again, all because you've put yourself first.
Exactly. Because no one else is going to do it.
No one's going to do it for you 100%. And that's one thing I say about achieving a good physique. No one can go to the gym for you. No one can eat your food for you. No one can do your steps in for you. It all has to come from yourself.
And I think one of the things sometimes people find or have a sticking point is towards like fees or the amount you pay for a coach, right? Now, you can pay someone $500, $1,200, $1,500, whatever you pay them, right? Ultimately, their role in your life is to give you a structure, to give you a plan, give you meals. Now, if you're not following that plan, you can't blame the PT for you not being the position you're at.
100%,
right? So you can still try yourself, but if you pay someone, but like I said, you've got to first of all make a commitment in your mind to yourself first, and ahead of everyone else, because like I said, no one else is going to do it for you. Us being in South Asian, so we're going to have that struggle where sometimes there's going to be Eid, there's going to be weddings, there's going to be
100%,
there's so many occasions in the year where you're going to be either tempted to have something or someone's going to try and rope you into having something off plan. Again, 100%. One off plan meal doesn't break your routine, right?
Absolutely.
So you just got to use those extra calories in the session and just come out there. Like I said, it's just commitment and discipline
100%.
are your two best friends 100%. In this particular part of your life.
Absolutely. And I just want to end on this as well, is when it comes to money, guys, I know we've been taught to save money and not to spend, but that's the worst mentality to have, because the biggest risk in life is not taking any risks at all. And again, the whole purpose of making money is to reinvest it and make more money. And this is not just wealth. I'm talking about health. I'm talking about assets and all other aspects of life as well. Just like Sully invested into himself, one thing he managed to leverage was his time, because time is ultimately money, and that's the only thing you don't get back in life. So with that time that you spent doing guesswork, chasing random results, it didn't get you anywhere. Instead, you invested, you bought that time back, you got a structure, system, accountability, roadmap, and then look where you are today. Investments paid off.
It's a long-term vision that you map out for us. Because we may not see it when we're at the start of our journey.
100%.
But you know full well, based on the commitment that we have to the plan, to the cause, as they like to put it, right? To the whole idea of us getting to that end goal that you see way ahead of us. And sometimes too much information, too much like that.
People get overwhelmed.
Overwhelming, right? So we go through them stages 6, 7, 8 weeks at a time. And you don't notice it. It's like you go from muscle building to then you're slightly cutting or you're maintaining and then you put simple, right?
Absolutely.
And like I said, too much information one time becomes too difficult.
Absolutely. 100%.
And it's just,
100%.
that's why guidance is super important, because you can't, again, look, for me personally, I can't say I would have been able to do this myself individually.
Yeah.
Because like I'm busy with work, and then that's not an excuse because everyone has a job, right?
Yep.
But I know with my lifestyle, I needed someone. And given my circumstances in terms of where I was at, where I wanted to be, and what I wanted to achieve, I felt like you were the best person.
No, absolutely. No, I appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that. Anything you want to end on, Sully?
It's just a quote I read the other day. It says, "Until death, every defeat is psychological." Now, what you got to remember is life is going to be full of making difficult decisions.
Yep.
Putting yourself and choosing yourself isn't a difficult decision.
100%.
It's the commitment to better yourself every single day, little by little, is going to be your best friend. And that's all you got to worry about.
100%. And I want to end on it as well. What you resist persists. So if you're going to continue resisting, that problem that you currently have is going to continue to persist until you make a change and you take that risk. Sully,
thank you very much, bro.
he's treating himself today after 10 weeks of following a plan to a juicy Matilda cake, and he's going to go have an off plan as well and treat himself.
No, thank
well
you very
deserved.
much, brother.
Next plan for Sully is to go through a reverse diet, and then it's time for him to gain some serious mass. And if there's any brother that's on the fence of coaching, you're more than up to reach out to Sully, reach out to myself, and let's make your transformation next, inshallah.